Mark your calendars, folks, it's a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence. It's proof you were indeed born in the right generation. I'm making a video based off a viewer request. I've done 2 videos about trains, and on both of them, I've received comments about how I should watch the Galaxy Railways, telling me that this was a show almost entirely about trains. So I did some digging, and found both that and the work it's based on, Galaxy Express 999 by Leiji Matsumoto. While I haven't seen anything by Leiji Matsumoto, I knew he was pretty influential in the world of sci-fi anime and manga. This spiked my interest since mid-20th century space operas are something that I'm accidentally fascinated with. I mean, I really enjoy sci-fi in general, especially cyberpunk, but sometimes you want to ditch all that gritty tone and attempts at realism in favour of a bit of that old campiness that's present in films and TV shows like Forbidden Planet or some of the 1960s Jerry Anderson shows. Now, of all this raving about the mid-20th century, why am I talking about the 2003 series instead of the 1970s series? Well, to put it briefly, I ain't watching 113 fucking episodes, Jesus Christ. Although it's not just that, since it would also have some of the nicer visuals that would come with a more recent production. And for the most part, I was right, since this series looks fairly decent for something that came out almost 20 years ago. And this isn't to say that it's the best looking anime from this era, especially considering that Standalone Complex came out a year before, and that has aged like a fucking gem, but Galaxy Railway still finds a decent means of balancing the old design with the new animation techniques. It does suffer a bit from repeated sequences, as the launch animation is largely unchanged through the entirety of the series, and there are sometimes flashbacks to events that we've already seen, but I'll get onto that later. CGI isn't actually used that much in this anime, or at least not to an extent that it shatters immersion. Due to my lack of research, this means that it either gets a thumbs up for non-distracting CG, or a shrug for not including something that could potentially be done badly. But the character design is what gives off the most "this is based on an older anime" vibes. And while the character design overall in the show is something that makes it stand out from anime nowadays, the individual characters within the show can sometimes be hard to tell apart. While the main 6 are distinctive enough amongst themselves, when the other squadrons come into the fray, there are just a few characters who I get mixed up. Although that might just be on me. But it is still worth noticing that it is refreshing to see old character design philosophies every now and again. And while I made a comparison to Jerry Anderson earlier, the character design in Matsumoto's works has aged much better than Anderson's, since none of them seem to creep me out. For the most part, Jesus fucking Christ, that's meant to be human somehow. But enough about the designs and more about the characters. As I've said, there's 6 main characters who make up the Sirius platoon, with the protagonist being Yuki Manabu, son of the ex-captain of that division. He goes through the motions of a typical quote-unquote rookie story, and it is cliché to put it lightly. But he and the other rookie Louise's general lack of personality is balanced out by the other members of the platoon. There's Captain Bulge, side note, that is my porn star name, who has taken the commander's mantle from Manabu's father in the hopes that he never has to lose another platoon member. Bruce is effectively his second in command, who starts off as the designated tough-on-rookie character, but as the series goes on, he opens up and shows off a bit more depth as well as charm. David is a compulsive gambling addict. And then there's Yuki, which is spelt with only one U, not 2 U's like with Yuki Manabu. Yuki is the ship's sexoroid. What is a sexoroid? It isn't really explained, so I don't really know, but it's certainly a lot cleaner than what you're thinking, you fucking perv. Though that being said, were this series made today, she would easily be an One-san. Her robotic demeanour could lead one into thinking that she's not overly furnished in the personality department, but she's gradually overcome with her sense of camaraderie with the team. And this gradual warming up to the characters, I felt, extends to Manabu and Louise as well, who I sympathise with by the end of the series, as we learn about Louise's feelings of loneliness, and how the English dub pronounces Manabu's name as Manabu. In fact, let me try that one again. As we learn about Louise's feelings of loneliness, and how the English dub pronounces Manabu's name as Manabu. There are other authorities alongside Sirius Platoon, such as Vega Platoon, which is led by Captain Murase. Given his habit of referring to the female speaker platoon as kittens, I assume his leadership skills came from when he was the admin of a Discord server. But back on Planet Destiny, there is Layla Destiny, who's psychic or something, I don't know. For me, she's kinda useless, because there's already a narrator in the show being melodramatic, so she just doesn't have much of a purpose. Or at least that's what I thought before I had a deeper look at her. She has a blue dress with skin showing by their heart. Oh shit, Rushi is no longer pet. But since I've gone in depth on the characters, it's high time that I mention what they actually do in this show. This show is done in that standard episodic/arc based format, but with more one-off episodes compared to arcs, which I for one appreciate. That isn't to say that some of it doesn't get repetitive, since I made a bingo sheet and there were several instances where, like the Galaxy Railways themselves, there were lines going everywhere. But those tended to fall near the beginning, and later episodes felt a lot less cliche, although the flashbacks books don't tend to let up, especially some of the episodes focused on Bruce that contained flashbacks to a flashback that we have already seen. So there were some times I could skip entire minutes of an episode. But the content of the individual episodes are interesting in their own right, and could go anywhere from cities to jungles, and even several medieval-style worlds. Fucking sweet! But despite these episodes being, well, episodic, they aren't immediately forgotten in the canon, since they're often called back to, especially during the finale. On the subject of the finale, the antagonists are given proper build-up as a threat, although there is not any kind of explanation for them until the last episode, and as a result, those last moments feel kinda contrived. But I still enjoyed the shit out of that finale, and that's really the nub of the matter. Despite this having basically all the tropes out there, it's still campy and enjoyable, not trying to be anything more than it needs to be. So if you're looking for some classic Matsumoto-style fun, then you should be on board with this. That was fucking awful. It's also prompting me to seek out a more recent adaptation of another Matsumoto work, Space Battleship Yamato 2199. This will hopefully allow me to understand a bit more about the Leijiverse, especially as there isn't much of a chronology to the world of Galaxy Railways. Or at least there wasn't until I made one up. Okay, so here's the history of the Galaxy Railways universe according to me. Year is 1967. And Japanese delegates are visiting America. Over dinner, President Lyndon B. Johnson is asked by the delegation about their plans to reach the moon. Johnson says that they think they have a shot. This is a phrase that the translator was not prepared for. So, they think. Shot. Shoot. Guns shoot. What does a gun shoot? Bullets. What do the Americans call the Shinkansen? Bullet trains. That's it! The Shinkansen is our ticket to the moon. After they returned home to Japan, they got to work on reaching the moon through the means of Shinkansen. And in the summer of 1968, they succeeded. Japan became the new leader in the space race, and America worked closely with them so they could replicate their technology, and introduce space travel to old steam engines such as the Union Pacific. Okay, so that explains why there are trains in space, but why are they always breaking down or crashing? With trains now being essential in the process of space travel, Richard Branson decides to combine Virgin Galactic with Virgin Trains, and as a result, these Virgin Galaxy Railways began to inherit the general shittiness of Virgin Trains. Not only were they late, but they also exploded. So there you have it. Richard Branson ruined the space trains. But on the subject of a Virgin not doing proper justice to the Galaxy Railways, thanks for watching the video.